In this video, I'm going to show you the full process on how to use SketchUp for your anime illustration. So sit back and enjoy the video. The first thing we need to do is to find the building or any structure that we're going to use as a reference for our 3D model. You can find a reference anywhere you want, but I personally like to use Google Street View since I can easily see all the sides of the building. And since this is about anime, there is no better place to find a reference other than Japan. So I'm gonna drop this little icon of a man anywhere here, and yeah, let's explore this place. I'm looking for a structure with a very simple shape and details to avoid overwhelming you with a lot of steps and techniques. There are a lot of things that SketchUp can do, but I'm going to focus on the essential tools that we're gonna use regularly. It's important to master the basics to help us start quickly, and we can learn some of the advanced techniques on another video. I think this house looks fine and simple, so I'm going to use this as our reference. I like how simple the shape of the house is. I mean, it's just a straight rectangular shape at the front, and at the side, it's a simple triangular shape with a vertical screen, which I think is a good design. And since we cannot really see the other side of the house and the back part, we can just come up with our own ideas there. So before we dive into modeling, make sure that you have created a free account on SketchUp. Just visit the link below and click on create an account and just follow the instructions. And once you're done, just visit the same link again to go to the main page, which looks like this. From here, you can click on this start modeling button or this create new button at the very top. They both works the same way, so you can click either of those two. And now, this is the main interface of SketchUp. So the first thing we need to learn is how to navigate the 3D space. If you have experience with other 3D software, it works the same way. There are three essential tools you can use to navigate the 3D space in SketchUp. The first is the Orbit tool, which allows you to rotate your view around your model and explore different perspectives. You can access it by clicking the Orbit icon in the toolbar or simply press O on your keyboard as a shortcut. Alternatively, you can hold the scroll wheel on your mouse and move it to orbit around the model. As you do this, the mouse cursor will change to the orbit icon, confirming that you're in orbit mode. The second tool is the Pan tool, which lets you move your view horizontally or vertically without rotating the model. You can activate the Pan tool by clicking this icon in the toolbar or by pressing the H key as a shortcut. Another way to pan is by holding the Shift key while pressing the scroll wheel on your mouse, allowing you to drag the view across the screen. The third tool is the Zoom tool, which enables you to zoom in and zoom out for a closer or wider view of your model. You can activate the Zoom tool by clicking this magnifying glass icon in the toolbar or press the Z key as a shortcut. Alternatively, you can use the scroll wheel on your mouse to zoom in and out of the 3D space. Now that we learned how to navigate the 3D space, let's learn the essential tools that we will use throughout our modeling process. And the first tool is the Select tool, which lets you select, move, or manipulate objects. You can select any object just like this model by left-clicking on your mouse. Alternatively, you can right-click on any object and it will show you different options for that model. Next is the Eraser tool, which lets you erase any lines or the whole model itself. Simply click on the lines or edges you wish to erase and it will be gone in no time. And next is the Line tool, which helps you draw straight lines between 2 points. Just click anywhere as a starting point and click again to create another point. And then just press Escape on your keyboard if you want to stop drawing any more lines. Or you can continue the lines you created to complete a shape. Another tool is the Circle tool, which allows you to draw circles with a specified radius. You can create a circle by clicking once anywhere and just drag the mouse outward to increase the size. When you're satisfied with the size of the circle, just click again to close the shape. You can also create a circle with a specific radius by typing on your keyboard. Let's say you want a circle with a radius of 5 units. After clicking and moving your mouse outward, you can see here at the bottom that there is a box for the radius size. As you move your mouse, the number in the box changes. Since we want a radius of 5, just press 5 on your keyboard, and now you can see that the number in the box is 5. Then, to finalize the shape, just press enter and you're done. Okay, the next tool is the rectangle tool, which works the same as the circle tool. To create a rectangle, you start by clicking once anywhere to set one corner of the rectangle, and then drag your mouse to define the opposite corner. And just like the circle tool, you can also create an exact measurement for the rectangle tool. For instance, if you want a rectangle that is 6 feet wide and 4 feet high, start by clicking anywhere to set the first corner of the rectangle, and as you drag to define the shape, you will see a box at the bottom of the screen showing the current dimensions. Just type 6 on your keyboard, followed by apostrophe, which is the symbol of feet to indicate the width, and then comma, and then type 4 and apostrophe to indicate the height. After typing the dimensions, just press enter to finalize the rectangle. And that's it. Next one is the push and pull tool, which enables you to extrude or indent surfaces. Since we have a circle and a rectangle surface here, I'm going to use this to show you how to use it. Just hover it to any closed surface and you can see that it will be highlighted, indicating that you can extrude that. Click once on the surface you want to extrude and then move your mouse up to the desired thickness or depth. To finalize, just click your mouse again to stop the extrusion. And just like the circle and the rectangle tool, you can also set a specific amount for the extrusion. Just type in your desired measurement and you're all set. Next tool is the move tool, where you can relocate or move objects in your scene. You can move a whole object by selecting the whole object using the select tool and clicking on the object, then dragging the mouse to move it anywhere on the space. Aside from moving an object, you can also move just the face of an object or even just the line or the edge. Like for example, I'll just hover on this part and then click once and drag my mouse to move this part on Y direction. This can help modify the appearance of an existing object to create different shapes. For moving the edge of this object, I'll just hover on any line or edge and click once and drag my mouse to move it in any available direction. And to close it, I'll just click once again to settle the position. And lastly, just like the previous tool, you can also type a specific number on the box below to set the distance of your movement. Next is the rotate tool, which allows you to rotate objects or parts of the objects in your scene. And just like the move tool, you can rotate an entire object, a surface, or just an edge of an object. To rotate a whole object, first select the object using the select tool, then activate the rotate tool and click once on the object to set the rotation point. Then move your mouse to define the axis of rotation and then click once again to set it. Now just move your mouse in the direction you want to rotate. And when you're satisfied with the rotation, just click again to finalize it. You can also rotate just the surface of an object. Hover over the face you want to rotate, click once to set the point, and then drag your mouse to rotate the surface along the available axis. This can help reshape the object or modify its orientation. If you want to rotate just an edge, hover over the edge or line, click once to set the rotation point, and drag your mouse to rotate the edge. And if you want to be more accurate on your rotation, you can set a specific angle of rotation by typing the amount in the box below. The scale tool allows you to resize objects or parts of the objects in your model, giving you the flexibility to change proportions or dimensions. Similar to the move and rotate tool, you can use the scale tool to adjust the size of an entire object or just a specific surface of an object. You can scale an entire object by first selecting the object with the select tool, then activate the scale tool. This will display a bounding box around the object with small green handles at the corners and edges. You can click on one of these handles and drag to scale the object proportionally or non-proportionally depending on the handle you choose. And just like the other tools, you can also type in a specific scale factor in the box below if you need the precise adjustments. If you want to scale just the surface of an object, just select the surface you want to resize using the select tool and then activate the scale tool to show the bounding box. You can drag the green handles to resize the selected surface, adjusting only the part without changing the rest of the model. And finally, the last essential tool is the paint tool, which lets you apply colors and textures to surfaces. When you activate the paint tool, the material panel on the right side will pop up, showing you different colors and materials that you can use. Just pick any color you want and click on any surface to apply that color. If you want to apply the same material to multiple surfaces, you can hold down the Shift key while clicking, which allow you to fill multiple faces with the same material at once. And if you want to sample an existing color or texture from your model, hold down the Alt key or Command key on Mac, and your cursor will change to an eyedropper. Click on any surface to pick up its color or material, and then you can apply that material to other surfaces. I know there are other tools underneath the ones I mentioned, like this tape measure, look around, and the lasso tool, and even more tools when you click on these 3 dots below. But these tools are not entirely essentials in my opinion, and we will hardly use it in our modeling process, so I won't go over them for now, so you won't get too overwhelmed with a lot of tools to learn. Aside from the essential tools, it's also important to learn about each of the panels here at the right side. So first off, entity info. This can show details about the selected objects like its dimensions and attributes. So when you select something, all of the available information about that object will show up here. The components panel helps you manage reusable objects, letting you create and add components to your models. The instructor shows tips and instructions based on the tool you're currently using. So if you're currently using the eraser tool, you can see some instructions here on how to use it in case you want to learn more about it. 3D Warehouse. This is a place where you can download 3D models for free, which you can add to your project. So if you're kinda lazy to model something, you can just find the model that you need from the 3D Warehouse and download it and use it for your own project. Materials. This is where you can pick and apply colors, textures, and materials to your model. Styles. This is where you can change how your model looks visually. So if you wanted to make your model look like a sketch, this is where you do it. Tags. This helps you organize your model by grouping objects into layers, and you can control which parts of your model are visible or hidden, making it easier to manage complex designs. Shadows. This lets you adjust the lighting and shadows in your model, which is very easy to use. Scenes. This can save specific view in your model so you can easily switch between them. Display is for controlling how your model is visually presented, including hidden geometry, axes, and guides. Soften smooth edges. This can smooth out sharp edges, giving your model a more natural and rounded look. Model info. This provides details about your entire model like the measurement and other settings. Now that we have a basic idea on how to use the tools and the panels here in SketchUp, it's time for the fun part, which is creating the 3D model for our house. But before we dive into creating our first shape, it's important to analyze the structure and shape of our reference house. I will include as much details as I can, but the main goal here is to establish the main shape and structure of the house using the tools I discussed earlier. So, looking at this house, it's pretty obvious that it's made of a basic rectangular shape in the front and triangular shape on the side. Since I don't have a clear view of the other side of the house, I'll just assume that they are straight and flat. And aside from the main shape of the house, I noticed that this house have 3 levels and a cutout section here at the side. And using those information, I can now think of ways to model this house properly. Okay, now we're ready to model this house, and since the house have 3 levels, I'm going to create a model for each level, instead of building everything in one piece. This way, I can easily make adjustments or modifications without affecting the other models. So, using the rectangle tool, I'm going to create a rectangular shape for the base platform of the first floor. The wall should be twice as long as the main front of the house, so I'm thinking of giving this a 20 by 10 feet measurement, something like that. While I'm dragging my mouse, I'm going to type in my keyboard 20 apostrophe, comma, 10 apostrophe. Then I'm gonna hit enter. There you go. And now, using the push and pull tool, I'm going to give this face a little bit of volume, like so. And just like that, I have the base for the house. Next, using the select tool, I'm going to select this object by triple clicking on any of its face to select everything. And then I'm going to group this by right clicking and selecting make group. This helps me to organize all of my objects later on. Now, I'm going to use this base as a reference for the first level of the house. So I'm going to duplicate this by selecting the object using the select tool and then click on the move tool. Then I will press the control key on my keyboard to switch to copy mode. And as you can see, there is a small plus sign next to the cursor. Click the object, I'm gonna move it here at the side, and click again to place it. Now, I can use this to build the model of the first level. I'm going to double click this using the select tool to enter into editing mode. This allows me to modify or adjust the geometry inside this group without affecting other parts of the model. So now I want to increase the height of this. So I will click on the push and pull tool and hover over the top part. Click once and now I can move my mouse to increase the height. I think this looks good. Now, before we edit this, I'm going to make another copy so we can use the same object for the second floor later on. To copy this, I need to go out of edit mode by pressing escape on my keyboard. Then select this, activate the move tool, and press Ctrl key on my keyboard. And move the copy to the side. We're going to use it later. The next thing I'm going to do is to lay out the inner shape of the first floor. Think of it like a floor plan where I will create the walls and the room from a top-down view. So now I'm going to double-click this again to activate editing. And I'm going to click these 3 dots at the bottom of the toolbar and choose the offset tool. I'm going to hover over the top of this object and click the edge once. As you can see, I can now offset this inward. I think I'm okay with the thickness of this wall, so I'm going to click again to complete the offset. So looking again at our reference, we can see that there is only a little bit of wall at the front since there is a big space for the entrance. So using the line tool, I will draw a line here and I will straighten this line out because I think this is a straight wall. And since I cannot see the back of the house, I'll just make this similar as with the front. So I'll also draw a line here and here as well. It may not seem clear what I'm doing right now, but it will all make sense in a bit. So now I'm going to create this part, which is the room, and I'm going to use the rectangle tool to create that. So I'll create a rectangular shape starting here and until this part. Again, I don't have a clear view of the back, so I'm just going to guess the actual shape of this. Next, I'm going to use the eraser tool to erase this line and this line also at the back. Now, I will use the push and pull tool and push this face down. And as you can see, everything makes sense now, right? We have the basic structure for the first floor. I will now press the escape key on my keyboard to exit this group editing. And I will now create a slab on top of this first floor to serve as the ceiling as well as the flooring of the second floor. So using the rectangle tool, I will start the first point here at the corner and until this corner to cover everything. And using the push and pull tool, I will increase the thickness of this up to here. Now I will combine these two since they are two separate models. So using the select tool, I will right click on this model and choose explode. This will ungroup the model, allowing me to edit each face or edge individually. And now this top model merged with the bottom since their edges overlaps, making this into one model. And now I can delete some excess lines using the eraser tool. And I can group this again to easily categorize my model. Since we have our basic structure of the model setup, we can add the details on the first floor. I'm going to double click this model to enter into edit mode again. And the first detail I will add is this awning for the main entrance. I'm going to use the line tool and pull this a little bit using the push and pull tool to increase its thickness. I will also add this white panel from the wall using the push and pull tool by hovering this face. And I will press the Ctrl key on my keyboard to activate the copy mode. This will let me create a copy of that face when I pull it, creating a line in between. I will repeat that same process here on the other side. And then I will add a little bit thickness here because it looks elevated off the wall. Next, I'll create the main door using the combination of rectangle, line, and the offset tool. Now, I'll make this cutout design on the door, but I need to make it as a separate model so I can have a better control to the next step that I will do. So I'm going to press the escape on my keyboard to exit the edit mode, and now I will create the shape using the rectangle tool. I need 6 copies of this, but I will create one for now and show you how to copy an array based on this object. Okay, now I'm going to select this by double clicking and I'll activate the move tool. Then I'll press the Ctrl key to activate the copy mode and then click on this and drag a copy. Finally, since I need another 5 copy of this, I will type on my keyboard *5, which you can see here in the box below. This is another way to duplicate any object in an array, which creates equally spaced copies based on the transformation I just made. So if you want to create copies of the same objects faster with equal spacing, you can do this trick. I will select all of this and activate the scale tool to adjust this. And finally, I will right click and group this object. Next, I'm going to create this door handle. I can't see the exact shape of the handle, so I will just create my own. Using the pencil tool, I'll click somewhere here and then press the right arrow key on my keyboard to lock my mouse movement on the red axis. And then click once again and then press the up arrow to now lock on the blue axis. Then click again, then press the right arrow key to lock the red axis once again. Then click again to finish the shape of the door handle. Then finally, I will press the escape key to stop drawing lines anymore. Next, I will press these 3 dots below and activate the 2-point arc tool. I will start a point here in the midpoint and move my mouse here until the curved line becomes color pink. Then I will double click to convert the straight line into a curve. I will do the same thing here at the bottom. Now we have the main shape of our door handle. Next, using the circle tool, I will start creating a circle here at the endpoint. This circle will dictate the thickness of the door handle, so the more I make this bigger, the thicker the handle will be. Then I will select both of this and activate the follow me tool from the extended toolbar below. Then I will click on the circle and it will automatically combine the two based on the shape of the line and the radius of the circle. Finally, I will select this and group this object. So that's how you create a door handle. I will continue adding more details here using the essential tools like the rectangle, circle, line, offset, and the push and pull tool. I mean, you can create almost anything just by using those tools. Of course, there are limitations, but if you're going to create houses or buildings for your illustration, then that will be super perfect for that needs. Okay, I think I'm good with all the details on the front of the first floor. So now let's move on to the second floor. I'm going to duplicate this as well so I can use it as reference for modeling the third floor later on. Let's focus on this model. I'm going to use the offset tool to create a cutout in the middle of this object to match the balcony on our reference. Then I'll select the push and pull tool to push this face inward. Next, using the rectangle tool, I will create a rectangular shape here to create a hole, just like from the reference. Then I will double click this to select and activate the move tool so I can duplicate this. I will then press the control key on my keyboard to activate the copy mode and click this corner of the rectangle. Next, I will press the left arrow key on my keyboard to lock the green axis and move the copy to the other side of the wall. And as I move closer to the wall, it will automatically snap to the face of the wall. Then using the push and pull tool, I will push this face, and as I push it outward, I will move my mouse toward the outer edge of the wall to snap it. I will do the same thing to the other side. Next is this sliding glass door. But instead of modeling this from scratch, I will show you how to use the 3D Warehouse to download a pre-made model that I can import on my scene. To activate the 3D Warehouse, just click on this icon and a window will appear showing the 3D Warehouse of SketchUp. On the search box, I will type in sliding door since that is what I'm looking for. I can filter the result based on the different categories, but for now, I'm okay with the default category. So I'm just going to browse all the results to see anything that I like. I think this one looks good, so I'll just click on this download icon and wait for it to finish. Once done, it will automatically show up here and I can place it anywhere on my scene. Since this is not in the same orientation of my model, I will use the rotation tool to rotate this 90 degrees to align with my model. So I'm going to activate the rotate tool and I will hover the top part. You will know that you are hovering the top part of a model if the protractor turns blue. So now I will click once and move my mouse away a little bit and then click again to set the rotation. Now I can rotate this freely, but I will type 90 on my keyboard to indicate that I want this to be rotated in a 90-degree angle. Then finally, I'll press enter to lock the rotation. Now that this is rotated, I will move the sliding door inside the balcony using the move tool. Then I will scale using the scale tool to fit into the wall. Okay, next up is this railing. But before I go into modeling, I will hide the sliding door for now to avoid visual clutter. I can easily unhide this later on after I'm done modeling the railing. So now, I will create these metal structures first to equally divide the railings into 3 separate parts. Next, I'm going to create this part where it seems to be made of small holes. Even though this is not noticeable when viewed from a distance, I'm still going to show you how to do this since the technique alone is super worth it. So to start, I will use the rectangle tool to create the main shape. Then I will add thickness to this using the push and pull tool. Next, I will use the line tool to create the lines here above and below. And then I will find the midpoint of this line using the line tool. The midpoint is a dot with a color blue outline and it will automatically snap when you find it. I will draw a straight line going down to divide this into 2. And then I will use the offset tool to offset this side. And for the other side, I will just double click on the face to apply the last offset amount I used. Then I'll use the push and pull tool to push this away to the back and to completely remove it. I want these 2 sections to be empty to prepare for the last part of modeling this railing. Okay, now that I removed those 2 parts, I will use the push and pull tool again to push this part a little bit inward. Finally, I'll use the select tool and triple click this to select the whole model and group this by right clicking. Now, to create the holes, I'll use the rectangle tool to fill this area. Then I'll group it so I can separate it from the holes. This way I can easily adjust the holes individually. Next, I'll create the holes using the circle tool and copy this as an array until it covers the width. And then I will adjust it accordingly using the scale tool. Then I will select all the circles and repeat the process of copying as an array to fill the whole face. Once I covered everything with circles, I will select the rectangle at the back and right click, then choose explode. And since both the rectangle and the circles have their edges and faces touching each other, they will be merged into one object. Now, the important step. Triple click anywhere on the face to select everything and make it as a group. Then double click to go inside the group and enable editing. Now, double click on the space outside the circle to select the rectangle. Right click on the same spot and then choose select and invert selection. This will invert the selection from rectangle to all the circles. And since all the circles are selected now, I will press on the delete key on my keyboard to create the hole. And that's it. I know the method looks too complicated, but every step is necessary to create the final output. If you think there is a much easier way to do this, please let me know in the comment section so I can learn it as well. Then I will just copy this to the other side and copy everything to complete the railing. And I will add this little detail to complete the second floor. For the sliding door that I hid earlier, I can show it again by clicking on this display panel And on the unhide section above, just click all to unhide all hidden model. And finally, I will select everything and make this as a group. So for the last floor of this house, I'm going to use the model that I duplicated earlier. There's nothing much in this floor, so this is going to be quick and easy. The only thing I will need to model here is a window, which made up of rectangles with offset properties. For this object, I will just copy the one from the second floor and then paste it here since they look the same. And there you have it, the third floor is complete. I will now place the second floor on top of the first floor and the third floor on top of the second floor. And now the house is almost complete. The next I'm going to add is the roof. So using the rectangle tool, I will add a rectangle on the very top and use the push and pull tool to add volume to this. Now looking at the roof from our reference, it looks like the ridge of the roof is positioned way to the back. So I'm going to use the line tool to divide this into 3 sections. The first one is in the middle, and the last one will be in the middle of this section. Then I will draw the shape of the roof and erase some of the excessive lines. Then finally, I will push these 2 faces all the way to the edge to remove them completely. And there you go, we have the roof. To create this cutout from the wall, the fastest and easiest way to do that is by using the subtract tool, which can be found here in the extended toolbar. But unfortunately, this is only available as a paid feature. And since I am showing you the free web version, I'm going to do a different method on how to achieve this. So the way to do it is to select everything, then right click, and choose explode. Now everything here is connected and you cannot separate them as a group anymore. To create the cutout, I will use the line tool and draw a straight line here, which I think is where the bottom of the cutout, and another straight line here. Then I will just erase some unnecessary lines from this side and use the push and pull tool to push this part inwards. And now I have created the cutout of the house. I will select everything again and make this as a group. For the vertical screen, I'm going to use the line tool and trace the shape of the cutout. And then I will draw multiple straight lines to every midpoint. Then I will delete every other faces by erasing the edges. Finally, I will use the push and pull tool to add volume to this. And then I will move this a little bit outside so it doesn't align with the wall directly. And I will add some horizontal bars inside for additional details. And to complete the model of this house, I will add the windows at the side and some other details like the roof and the air vents on the wall. And that's it. This is how you can create a 3D model in SketchUp. I will provide the SketchUp file of this model so you can study it and maybe add some colors and turn it into an actual illustration. Whatever you do with it, feel free to share it with me on Discord. I'd love to see it. I know this house doesn't look exactly the same as with the reference in terms of size and proportion, but I guess that's fine for now since the goal of this video is to teach you how to get started with modeling using SketchUp, which I hope that you learn a lot. We can dive deeper into making an accurate model in a different video. But for now, this is how you can create a 3D model for your anime illustration. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe and share this video to other people. That means a lot to me. So, see you in the next video. Take care.